some reason the mute is on. My bad, y'all. You weren't unmuted.
Shut the front door.
Shut the front door.
Hey, well, now that you can hear me, splash specialist and a dive instructor. We don't demonstrate, bitch, we penetrate. We about to go deep. Put your life jackets on and zip them shits.
Deeper and deeper.
Yes, sir. Rest in peace, boss.
Yes. And Barry White. And
most definitely the originator of that. Most definitely.
Yes, indeed, man. Welcome to another episode of Deeper Dives Dialogue Unlimited.
Yeah.
You already know what it is. If you've seen us before, if you haven't, stick and stay and don't go away because we got a lot more coming your way.
That part.
Facts. Yes, indeed. Yes, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. But yeah, man, we got a new episode. This is episode 3 of season 2. And we decided we were going to kick it off with you talking about, an era that we both pretty much were formed and shaped in. The hip-hop era of its early stages. I should say secondary early stages, right? The 90s.
What we're going to talk about is the early stages of it.
Yes, indeed. We're going to talk about the hip-hop police, y'all.
The po-po ho.
You can see the Hip-Hop Chronicles episode, y'all. Hip-Hop Chronicles, season 2. Oh, you can't see my hand. I got to get that green screen. Season 2, episode 3 today. Yeah. Man, so there was a legendary historic meeting, if you will, that took place between four moguls, three moguls for certain. There's a fourth mogul that is emerging into the story, at least as far as our knowledge. This aspect of the story we didn't have, but we had prior versions, adaptations, and explanations of the original meeting from the main 3, which Suge Knight, right? Jay Prince,
Irv Gotti,
right? And now supposedly Dame Dash, may have not been present or may not have been about to be present, but was in the discussion or in the link or loop of that information as well at that time. Yeah, man. So we're going to get into it. I have some clips, some things that I want to share. We're going to touch on some other topics in connection to this. This should be a real interesting show. Hopefully you'll be able to stick around, like, share, and subscribe. Join our locals, Deeper Dives Dialogue Unlimited on rumble.com /locals. Join our locals community. You know what I'm saying? Donate, watch, subscribe, whatever you want to do to support. We certainly appreciate it. And of course, the YouTube channel is youtube.com /Jay.Drewz3692, where you can see my main man, the splash specialist, and myself, the dive instructor, as well as the other BTV, Beyond the Veil and Unusual podcast, and some other things, some shorts, and we'll be having more content to come. No worries. Also, you can check us out on the schwabelroom.com, YouTube, /Schwabelroom, youtube.com /Schwabelroom. Shout out to 3PMD.
Indeed.
Old Painless, Old Man Ally, Ed Lover,
ED 2020,
Dark Strange, Beat Down,
so
the hand Beat Down, Miss Kiki.
Yeah.
Come check the fam out anytime you wish. We're there for you, for your education, entertainment, laughs, and the whole shebang. So, yeah, let's get into this. I'm going to go ahead and share screen, and I'm going to let my main man give his take on some things. We've kind of preliminarily gone over some of this, but I want to let him go in on some of this here. Let's see which one. Doom, 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 doom. Yeah, we're gonna share this.
The piece contemplating doing the first black-owned distribution company.
The thing is, they wasn't trying to let us in the door. That's why I don't trust these people.
But Suge came up with the idea. It was a brilliant plan. He said, whatever the recording funds, 10% goes to the union. Each time you do a new album, 10%. It was going to be some get down or lay down shit. Shortly after that, the feds waited.
All of us being hit up around the same time. Someone left that meeting talking about our move.
It was Jay-Z and Puff that went to those New York corners to let them know what Suge.
Shout out to Gene Deal in the building. No, he's not in the building, but he's in the video. I like that jersey hat combo right there. You know,
Got to coordinate
the New York colors. You know, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Knight was trying to do. They told Jay, if you help us get rid of Dame, we're going to make you the president of Def Jam.
Why don't we stick together and they got to come to us? For some reason, everybody just wants to do everything on their own. They don't understand collective economics.
Damon Dash, Suge Knight, Irv Gotti, and Jay Prince. These four gentlemen that got together, gonna put up $30 million a piece.
Contemplating.
Boom. Your reaction.
Facts. Now, again, I didn't, like you said earlier, we did not know about the whole Dame Dash being a part of that. But in Jay Prince's memoir, what is it? The Science of Respect, I want to say. Shout out to Jay Prince, a real one. He stated in his book, I have the audio book, he stated exactly what was being said, aside from the part about what Gene Deal was saying. But he stated that, yes, him, Irv Gotti, and Suge Knight had got together and were plotting, not even contemplating. They were actually in the works of getting the first black-owned distribution company together. And everything that happened as far as the feds coming for Murder Inc., the dismantling of Death Row Records, and feds harassing Jay Prince, that all happened right around that time. And while we're talking about it, to further add to that point as to what Gene Deal was saying about how he said that Jay-Z and Puffy went to the people. I'm not even going to say who he went to, but how he said those people, select group of people, said, if you can get rid of that and take care of everything and we'll make you the head of Def Jam. There's another coincidence and correlation to that. Because now, remember, I don't know if you know this, but I was also listening to 50 Cent's autobiography, his book, on how he was talking about when Jay became the president of Def Jam. Now, if you notice, once he became the president of Def Jam, who was gone from the picture of Rockefeller?
Dame was.
Not just Dame.
Oh,
State property.
State property. Right.
But what faith was state property?
Beanie Siegel.
But the religion is state property. They was all practicing Muslims.
Muslims, right? Yeah, Islam.
Right. Okay. So, and who did they have a religious beef with? So that kind of correlates. But yet and still.
Yeah. The other Middle Eastern.
Right. But
right, got you.
But yet and still.
So Leor and him.
Right. Right. But yeah, so I mean, it's kind of adding up to what's being said. Allegedly.
Yeah. We weren't there.
But yeah, so what everything else is actually true. This is what, according to what Jay Prince was saying in his book, they were starting this whole black-owned distribution thing. And it's interesting how they were saying that, okay, 10% comes to a union. Because if you listen to all these Drink Champs episodes where Nori's talking about, yo, we should form a union. We should form a union. Apparently, it was going to be one formed, in a sense.
So, check this out. Tupac, Biggie. Biggie was getting ready to leave Bad Boy, allegedly, according to Gene Deal, who was featured at the end of that short reel video. Speaking on, who was standing to gain from the breaking up of this union before it could even get started. This distribution company that was about to be formed, in the works of being formed by Rap-A-Lot, Death Row, Murder Inc., and possibly Rockefeller.
Right.
So they wouldn't have needed the major labels that some of them were connected to. Like, of course, you have Def Jam, which was a subsidiary of Arista, right? No,
right.
Yeah,
no,
Arista.
that was Polygram. Polygram and Universal.
Okay, Polygram and Universal. But prior to that, I want to say the umbrella included some other big names.
Bad Boy was Arista.
Arista, right.
For sure.
Clive Davis, Arista Records. And of course, he came from Atlantic Records. So there was a relationship, not necessarily an ownership subsidiary type deal, but there was a connection as far as, business relationship that was established there. Whereas Bad Boy, Arista, Def Jam, you had Columbia Def Jam.
Right.
You had Island Def Jam.
Right.
J Records eventually for just a hot minute. But you had all these subsidiaries under the big umbrella, Rockefeller Def Jam. This would have been major, not just for Black people, but for independent artists who wanted to forge their own pathway. They'd have had that network in place for themselves as well.
Right.
You can even go back to Master P talking about meeting with Jimmy Iovine. And how much did he say they offered him? $1 million? He said him and his brother almost got into a fist fight darn near. Right. Told him no thank you twice. Right. And then they ended up owning all of it, for themselves. You know what I'm saying? So imagine if this would have been done for major Black hip hop labels, hip hop, R&B, whatever, because Murder Inc. did it all. Rap-A-Lot, really, they lightweight did it all, and they were like one of the first to really do it. Death Row, right in the same, archetype forged R&B hip hop. You had Michelle A, you had Danny Boy, you had who else was there? Death Row before Dre left. Well, after Dre left, of course, Aftermath. But anyway, you had all these guys, these labels putting out Black music. Let's just put it like it is. Urban music. Right. Described as so-called Black music. So that would have been major, man. That would have been super major. That would have
been beyond major, bro. Beyond major. It would have been scary how major it was. And I think that's exactly what it was. Scary. Because think about it. Not even just Bad Boy, but mainly Death Row at the time. Not just the label, but the image that Death Row painted. They brought the hood to the mainstream. And
yeah.
I mean, we already spoke on it as far as on the Handsome Beatdown, that after we look at it, Bad Boy was the real Death Row. But yet and still, the image that Death Row painted was bringing the hood to the mainstream. And I think Murder Inc. tried to recapture that whole thing. You know what I'm saying?
I look at them. Okay, imagine. I'm going to go with a parallel. It may not be an exact parallel, right? But let's expand our minds just a bit, because this is Deeper Dives, Dialogue, Unlimited Podcast. We're talking Berry Gordy, Who was the owner or CEO of Stax Records. Okay, so let's imagine if Motown, Stax, Atlantic, no, not Atlantic, Chess Records, even though it was not really black owned, it was every single artist on that label. Etta James, Muddy Waters, Little Walter, Howlin' Wolf, Chuck Berry, and the Sound of Philadelphia.
That
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm
that
saying?
Gambling
Huff
yeah.
sound.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you would have Holland Dozier, Holland, Gambling Huff, Smokey Robinson, Norman Whitfield eventually joined the ranks with the Motown sound. Otis Redding, what's my guy's name? Isaac Hayes, Al Green,
Marvin Gaye,
Aretha Franklin, Stevie Wonder,
the Supremes, all that,
the Marvelettes,
bruh,
the Four Tops,
bruh.
Unstoppable, right? That would have been unstoppable. It would also have been unheard of, and the only so-called black man that had ever outright owned all of his own stuff up to that date before Ray Charles did it was Sam Cooke. And we know what happened to Sam Cooke.
Right.
So, this hip hop police thing, tying this in, it's a real thing. You heard what Big Gene had to say, who was reporting back. But I want to show y'all some interesting things here. Let me scroll down on this article. This was 2021, July 19th, 2021. Jay Prince has some words for authorities in an Instagram post he uploaded yesterday. The Rap-A-Lot Records founder accuses the FBI and other law enforcement entities of harassing him for crimes he didn't commit. He also says that the rogue FBI agents and prosecutors are targeting him because of his race. In the post, which includes audio and various overlaying images, Prince shows a screenshot of what appears to be a drug transaction. From there, he gets into his feelings on the matter while declaring his innocence. I just had to share one example of the criminal lies that's told on my name on a daily basis. He says in the audio, clearly, this is a drug deal taking place on text message with my name being used to seal a deal that I have no knowledge of or involvement in, no capacity. These type of made up scenarios and lies are the type of excuses the feds constantly harass me and try to incriminate me by the use of another person's actions, because when they arrest them, they will lie on you. Pause. It goes into speaking on the Drink Champs episode. Okay. This is not the first time Jay Prince has called out federal authorities. During a Drink Champs appearance from last November, he claimed that the FBI had attacked both himself and then Death Row Records CEO Suge Knight right as they were about to join forces and work outside the major record label system. He even said the FBI made an attempt on his life. We want to create our own black-owned distribution company, Prince recalled. So we had a meeting of the minds. We met in LA. It wasn't long after I feel like the feds attacked each of us. Conspiracy, not only from a distribution point of view, they had their reasons, but definitely we all saw what happened to Death Row. We saw how they attacked Murder Inc. and they tried to kill me. So that was one of them things. It's in his own words.
Yeah, because in the book he describes one of the episodes on how He said they were, I can't remember where they were coming from, but they were at a gas station, and he said he saw them all posted up, like mounted up, trying to be strategically placed. And as soon as he left, they followed him and pulled him over. So yeah, and I mean, he was smart enough to see what it was before it happened, so he had everybody like go in different directions. So yeah, I mean, he saw it for what it was. They was trying to set him up. And like and he said that he went above their heads, and he had to get federal on him.
Facts.
He played that shit smart.
Absolutely.
He played that shit real smart. Like, dude, what are we doing here? Like, we see what you on.
Type shit, right? Yo, here we go. I found it. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, man. So today in hip hop history, January 3rd, 2021 is when this was written. This is from the source.com. Murder Inc. offices raided by the feds 18 years ago. On this date in 2003, the federal government raided the offices of hip hop powerhouse Murder Inc., beginning a 2-year-long case against Chris and Irv Gotti, who was forced to prove that their successful multi-million-dollar record label was not a money laundering operation for Kenneth Supreme McGriff of Queens, legendary Supreme team. Even with multi-platinum artists such as Ja Rule, Ashanti, and Lil Mo, the Def Jam subsidiary was still questioned about their affiliation with McGriff after Gotti funded a movie directed by the Supreme Team leader entitled Crime Partners, which was inspired by the infamous novel by famed author Donald Goins. Following the January 2003 raid on the Murder Inc. offices, things for the crew were never the same. Gotti spent upwards of $10 million in legal fees fighting the government. The label had no distribution during the entire trial. Interesting penalty there. The label had no distribution during the entire trial. And the war with a rival rapper from Jamaica, Queens named 50 Cent had just begun. Nevertheless, the crew dropped the Murder Inc. The murder moniker, never waved the white flag, and stood tall against the government until they were victorious. Salute. Comments, observations, discoveries. No?
I mean, it's kind of basically falls into the same shit, bruh. We're seeing what's happening. Exhibit B.
Yes, sir. So I can tell y'all this just from firsthand knowledge, okay? Even though I was not involved in the discussion or conversation, I was present for a line of questioning. There's an artist. His name was Cadillac Ta. Before he changed his name to Cadillac Ta, he went by Murder Ta, or Ta Murder, excuse me. Ta Murder was in a nightclub that I used to do security in back in the day in a very large city within the Buckeye State, the heart of it all. So while working in this club, I was privy to this conversation. And yo, man, it really went down. The whole the stabbing in the studio incident, the lights being turned off, the melee that took place in the studio, it really went down between G-Unit, and the Ink. And I'm not going to tell you who the winners were. I'm going to tell you what I thought was most interesting. The colors red and black being used by both labels and a mainstay within a lot of the iconography and the artwork. Any comments, observations, inputs? I know you want to. I see it. It's gone deep with it. Gone deep with it.
Bruh. Now that I just heard something, I cannot remember where I heard it from. But it was talking about strategies and things that involve that whole case, that whole beef, and like how that shit played out with how 50 rose in his fame according to how all this shit came about. And it was saying how with him filing a restraining order against them throughout this whole thing, made it so that they could not, even if they wanted to retaliate with something, they could not retaliate. And he could say whatever he wanted to say and keep saying what he wanted to say. And even if they wanted to, they had to remain silent or they would get into more trouble aside from the trouble that the label was already in. So it was like, well, regardless of how it looked, he was still going to look victorious regardless, according to what I had seen.
Once that type of paperwork is filed, there's a record that's like a running tab, if you will. So anything that's mentioned within that time frame of that restriction goes onto that tab as far as a tally of information. Right? CYOA. So but when taking that route now, you're dealing with beef on a different level. Like I said, I know for a fact, even though I wasn't present for the incident, an individual who was heavily involved with the incident, word for word, blow for blow, described what really went down when those lights, before the lights went out, while the lights were out, and after the lights came back on. Who was still present, who was bleeding, and who was running. It really went down.
I believe that.
Yeah, I mean, we can see the articles, but you know, one of the individuals who was down with the get down is the one who I overheard, and it wasn't like he was trying to keep it. I'm just a fly on the wall doing my job, you know what I mean, at the time.
Right,
So
right.
I was not quite in Gene Deal's position, but I was doing a similar position to Gene. So I'm the fly on the wall, and I'm sitting there like, whoa. Like, wow.
And that wasn't too long after I had left from that same area. And shit, that was right after How to Rob came out.
Right. And so I'm going to tell you a funny thing of how I gathered from this experience is sometimes we let our aesthetics, our preference of aesthetics, like it could even be, when I say aesthetics, not just appearance, but the way music is put together or who's working together on music. We can let that make us take a side in our mind or our heart in a disagreement between two parties that we really have nothing to do with, except for maybe the identifying with the gifts or talents that they share with us, right? But it made me have a different viewpoint of right or wrong in that particular situation. And it made me start to revisit the reported occurrences and other conversations I was not even a fly on the wall, but a direct participant in with family members of the late great Tupac Shakur. Got to speak with his mother in Stone Mountain in '99 at Tupac Appreciation Day. Got to speak with his cousins, two of his cousins that were highly involved in music with him, present with a lot of these situations, and then things that didn't get mentioned until later documentaries. So me flashing back to the conversations, like, wow, they actually finally got that information put out there. It's not that they didn't know it. There's not no new information on any of these situations, y'all. I hope y'all understand that. And this blue versus red, and I'm not talking about Bloods, Crips. Shout out to them though, the brothers that's doing business. As Big Mike has shown us, they have legitimate organizations now and corporations that they run business through. But these concepts go so far back in society, and even into secret societies. And this ain't that necessarily that type of show, but I just want y'all to understand the imagery, the aesthetics. The concept is repeated over and over. It's a psychological operation, from the infiltration of the Panthers to some of the other political / religious movements and organizations connected with civil and human rights for our specific group of people, the thriving of specific pockets of our group of people, and they're beginning to rise and then come together and stop with the whole comparison and looking down and, oh, you bougie, oh, you hood, you ratchet, oh, you educated, and just say, fuck all of that. Listen, we won. We're one. And even if we have the appearance of, I can't stand you, you can't stand me, or even if it really is a personality thing, that's all it is. Like, let's not let this continue to actually divide us, right? So as soon as they start to sit down, pay attention. Tupac organized over 17,000 gang leaders and their affiliate sets to form a political party. He started a political movement that later was taken over by Diddy. How is there nobody really talking about that aspect? Rap the Vote became Vote or Die. But Pac was the one that started that, and it was behind the Thug Life movement. And Thug Life was the name of the political party, started from the acronym, the song, and the group that he helped head up or form, back in the early to mid 90s.
Word. Let's not forget the movie of the acronym.
Yeah.
Some real shit. They tried to disassociate actually his involvement of what that shit is, but the hate you give, that
Little
movie,
infants. Yeah.
That movie, that's from Pac. Real shit.
Yeah, he was heavy mental with it, man. And it's not, even to just be on his tip or, shit, I'm not ashamed of being a fan, of his music, not so much as every aspect of his lifestyle or whatever, but that's with anybody. That, he was his own man. He paved his own road. He charted his own course, and big ups to him for that. But, he was so heavy into the understanding of politics on the nuts and bolts level, community organizing, the infiltration of movements through subsets and subsects that are formed, even down to the street organizations and them taking over the position within our community of Army, Air Force, Marine Corps, and Navy. Not so much a Navy because, brothers don't really care for water. That's the stereotype, allegedly. But nonetheless, you had the different color markers and you had a certain military structure. You have officers within the organization or the auxiliary, but they are just demeaned in the media as simple, mindless bands of tribal thuggery. You know what I mean? But these people were moving in high organizational structure, and running what some would consider the underworld. So when you break out of that, but you find that moving into entertainment how did Eminem put it? Entertainment is changing, intertwining with gangsters. And the land of the sinners is in the land of the what do you say? In the land of the sinner's mind is his sanctum. I'm trying to remember the lyrics. Y'all can look it up though. Lyric genius. Sing for a moment. But he's trying to explain to y'all like it really didn't change from the streets to the office. You know what I mean? You had people who used strategy on a business level, but still with the mindset of navigating the streets. And that's not any dig on them. That's kudos to their brilliance. But the pitfall is when you have an organization such as a government dead set against your rise, that's going to keep account of those things, get you more heavily involved in more of those types of things to stay afloat, and then turn around and say, you got all of this from doing XYZ, and that's not necessarily where it came from. That's not even necessarily in a lot of cases how it got started. You know what I'm saying? It's just like when the mob was king. Not all of their businesses were funded by black market money, put it that way, dirty money. But they also had means of cleaning up the money and recycling that money that put it to better use by legitimate people who were operating above board, as you might call it. And it's the same thing with our community and a lot of our bosses that pulled themselves up and a lot of others along with them. Dame being one of them, man. Dame is a visionary. Dame is a strategist. He don't like yes men. So what do you got to do to take over, for example, a position at Def Jam? Get Dame out the way, like you heard Big Gene saying. Now what? Who are you going to collaborate with, Jay-Z? Who are you going to collaborate with, Diddy? You two you're the only ones names heard involved in most of your business ventures. You don't hear no other black moguls or leaders partnering. Your European company names, no offense. You know what I'm saying? You hear, people involved with a religious organization, as you so eloquently put it, that is not necessarily in alignment with another group that might wear small hats and pray 5 times a day, as opposed to a couple or a few. And, all of this is happening right in our faces, but right under our noses and behind the scenes simultaneously.
Word up.
I mean, some of the stories, even with Pac, like we talking about Hip Hop Police, some say, he was going to go Death Row East. Why go Death Row East? He had a whole nother logo, and he had the emblem of the Death Angel on his chain, and he had a whole nother concept, for his own thing. But, allegedly Death Row East.
Yeah, he was screaming Death Row East, but remember also the other rumors swirling around his untimely demise when they were saying it was the same thing that people were saying about Big. Pac was trying to get out of his Death Row deal because they're saying the paperwork wasn't looking right. I don't know how true that was, but that was swirling around as well.
I'd almost say with Pac, what paperwork? Because allegedly he signed with Suge on a napkin at Rikers.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. But I mean, after having a conversation with his dearly departed mother, she told me like a Benz, a mansion for her and his daughter, and he was always working, and that was it. That was the deal. Get as much music and content as we call it now, but as much work is done as possible to set up his next move. It wasn't about any bad feelings, like he felt like anything wasn't right, you know what I mean? But what paperwork? There was an agreement for sure. And both ends of the agreement were fulfilled. But you know what happens when something goes larger than one expects. Like we saw what happened with Chappelle. you know, they want to give him 50 million, but the way the contract structured and as well as the 2 seasons went, you earned, according to the contract, $250 million. And they said, well, we can't see paying you more than this. Like, well, that's not what we're here to discuss, what we think you can see. I understand you can't see paying somebody that kind of money because you never anticipated, neither did I, this type of success. But here we are.
Right.
Right. But instead of just, you know, him cutting himself off at and capping himself off at that, you know, not being able to get what he actually earned, he walked away from it. And they said, well, okay, if you walk away from it, now what? We'll make it look like
You went
you know,
crazy.
you lost your mind and you smoking the substance that is the brunt of your jokes. It's interesting how that works. You know what I'm saying? And if you look at the 7-day theory, as Pac called it, the Don Illuminati, I mean, what did Chappelle do? 10 years? Left the business for 10 years as far as they're concerned, being handled and promoted by them. Right? And then Netflix. Listen, I just want to appeal to y'all sense of fairness. Do y'all think this is fair? Brilliant.
Right.
Please don't watch no more of these episodes. Please don't share out no more clips until they pay me. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, the hip hop police is a real thing, y'all. I'm sure a lot of us are aware now, but just more and more, man, we just wanted to re-emphasize some of the things. And then one last thing on this topic, well, it doesn't have to be the last thing, but the last thing I want to emphasize is this. And it's not even, I ain't going to even hold y'all on this part of the topic long, but just something as food for thought. Can you see that? Interesting. You know, another name that's been rumored in connection with the possible knowledge of, I won't say involvement because that's all alleged, with the early demise of the legendary co-label, collaborator, big homie.
Yeah, man. It's wild stuff.
It's just interesting how things fall, man. I was hoping you might have some insight on that you'd like to share.
As far as what, him in death row?
Yeah. Just the journey of things. I mean, I'm not saying there's any backhanded stuff, but after what Gene, added to the last, part of the discussion with the 4 major labels coming together, Snoop being affiliated with one of those labels and being a major part of their success, contribution-wise,
I mean, you got to think after that all happened, he left and went to what? No Limit?
Indeed.
And after a while, I mean, when everything demised with Death Row, wasn't they owned by like Disney or something?
There was a Jewish woman, I can't remember her name, that owned the label briefly. I'm not sure how long, maybe some years.
And then he bought it back, right?
Yeah, but he wasn't in the circles and wasn't accessing that type of resource. He by his own testimony to have even gotten that discussion of how to get it. And so he had to get in with some people that would plug him in with, the means to secure that. And I don't know what the agreement was. He's never really, I don't think, disclosed any details publicly about that. And I don't know that he ever will or should. But
yeah, but Also, remember, Death Row wasn't just Suggs. Remember Harry O.
Harry O. Yeah, absolutely.
And on Snoop's album, when he first bought Death Row back, on his intro, he said something about Harry O getting out, Harry O being free out of jail. So Harry O may have something to do with acquiring it again. I'm not sure.
That's real interesting. I mean, I wouldn't doubt that either. I wouldn't doubt that. I wouldn't doubt that. All I know is music has fallen off tremendously since Death Row has not been a thing. In my opinion, my humble one at that. But, you know, I'm just one guy.
No, there's no opinion on that shit, my brother. That's a fact. I'm sorry, but that's a fact. Dead ass.
You know, Bad Boy dissipated. I was kind of like, yes. And, you know, Death Row was like, oh, man, what the?
Bruh, you had Dre and Daz under one roof.
Say less. Lady of Rage, RBX, Corrupt.
Hold on one second. Hold on one second.
Okay.
I just got 3 things to say for you.
Okay.
Exhibit A.
Oh, man.
This is vinyl.
Yes.
The Exhibit B.
Oh.
And Exhibit C.
Man, come on.
Shut the front door.
Right.
That's all you gotta say. That's all you gotta say. That's it.
Yeah.
Now I ain't get the Chronic yet, but
I was about to say,
if
you get the one with the big blunt leaf, I mean,
I ain't get the Chronic yet, but that's all you gotta say.
And that's not even the end of that. I mean, you got the 213 and I mean,
bruh. Look, right now I'm on the hunt for that. Right now, that vinyl is so freaking limited. You ain't paying nothing less than $150 for that shit in crappy condition.
I'd take it.
Trust me. Trust me, bro. Trust me.
Yeah, man.
Trust me.
I mean, that was the soundtrack of our lives, man. And it wasn't even art imitating life. I mean, life imitating art. It was literally art imitating life. Like some of the stories we could tell the world from where we're from.
I mean, it's just
this stuff was happening before the music dropped, before the movie images came on the screen. It was going down like that.
I mean, it just basically, like, I want to say Razzcast said it in, what was it, Rhyme and Reason? Yo, what they're telling you over here is what's going on over here. And they can basically relate to it over here. It might not be the same geographical region, but the same thing is going on over here. We're just basically swapping stories over different beat patterns.
Facts. I mean, and man, look, I'm going to just show this right quick. I don't want to go into no details, but as we can see, the saga continues, and so do the attacks. That's all I'm going to say it just like that and leave it at that. But, you know, I'm not saying true or false. I'm not saying guilty or not guilty. I'm not a jury of his peers. Not his counsel or opposing counsel. No Diddy. Yeah, woman claims in a Florida lawsuit that the music executive and producer abused her throughout a 2-year relationship. So, you know, when these people are no more useful in being exploited for their adaptation of ghetto life, to the public at large, both black, white, or otherwise in America. This is where they go with the smear campaign. The attack.
She's suing them for that. Like I said, well, is
not saying once again guilty, not guilty. I'm not the judge, not the.
She probably doing that because he probably thank God he didn't knock her up because she'd be suing him for child support next.
That part, probably. Yeah.
Terrible.
Alleged ex-girlfriend. Yeah.
Terrible.
So it's like clockwork. You know, they went after the whole label. They tried to tie it all to drug money. They couldn't prove that. The case gets dropped after $10 million, after tying up his distribution for 2 entire years for his label. It's like the 3 years they took away from Ali in the heavyweight division to make sure he was no longer in his prime when he had to fight Joe Frazier. So we saw the greatest fight of all time, possibly in the Rumble in the Jungle with him and Foreman. But then we could have had the greatest fight, 4 years prior? If, they wouldn't have brought up the Vietnam issue, clearly knowing that the Nation of Islam at the time, which was his political and religious affiliation, were conscientious objectors. So how are you militant and a conscientious objector at the same time? It's funny how those contradictions work in only their favor when they want to throw around titles, brands, and labels. But like I said, not defending Irv, and I'm also not coming down on Irv. The same thing. I have some strong opinions about Diddy, but I've never met Diddy. I've never been to a Diddy party. I've never worked with Diddy. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what it's like to work with Diddy. I don't know if it's good, bad, or otherwise. We have varying opinions from varying people, but it's interesting. Like we said in the last episode when we discussed part of that, he's a scapegoat. Regardless of what he did or didn't do, he's definitely the scapegoat. Please believe it.
Definitely.
Please understand that, y'all. So we're going to segue, right? We were going to segue because we're going to come back to this. This topic isn't over with. The Hip Hop Police Chronicles is not. This is just the first of many to come. I think we're going to keep touching back on that and gather more data for you, verifiable receipts also, just to give you some, some things to check out on your own that are of interest. But yeah, man, there was recently, well, you know what? Let's let Eddie Griffin go ahead and talk about it. We did not create this video. We did not have any connection to Eddie Griffin. Shout out to Eddie Griffin, by the way, one of my favorite comedians ever. One of the funniest dudes, in my opinion, ever. And period. I don't know if you share the same opinion or not, but hey, that's my own opinion, and I stand on it. But he has the NNN, the news network. So let's see what he had to say about this topic of people putting out fake news.
Atlanta for Comedy Hype News. I'm Symphony Thompson. Well, Eddie Griffin is covering many topics in the latest episode of NNN, including the information on Donald Trump, while adding
the blood test must be given. Why?
Where too many men.
My bad, y'all. This is from Comedy Hype News. Shout out to Comedy Hype News.
Of the child they.
At birth, the blood test must be given. Why? Because 99% of the time on every motherfucking talk show, he is not the father.
The original video gained a lot of traction on social media, and Eddie Griffin's amplification of the supposed law helped further push the narrative. The original video stated Trump tweeted this new law. However, there is no evidence on X or his own Truth Social, suggesting that Trump will put a new child support law into place. There is no evidence of Trump saying this, most likely categorizing this new child support law as misinformation. Of course, the video does not cite any sources, provide links, pictures, or evidence to support the claim. Now, child support can currently be defined as court-ordered payments, typically made by a non-custodial divorced parent to the custodial parent to support one's child or children. The payment is meant to take care of a child's basic needs like living expenses, food, clothing, healthcare, and education.
Pause. So she's just defining what child support is in most places, if not all, within the United States jurisdiction. But shout out to Comedy Hype News. Shout out to the NNN, Eddie Griffin, the brother who posted the video on TikTok. It's interesting.
$1,000 unless the TJCA is renewed. The House and Senate are both Republican controlled until at least the midterm.
My bad. Let me go back to the beginning of that. Okay. This is why it matters to make sure when you hear rumors like this, y'all, that you check into it for yourself.
26. Newsweek states the child tax credit is the tax benefit given to people with children under 17 and is currently set at $2,000 for each qualifying child. The current cap for benefits is $200,000 for single filers and $400,000 for joint filers. If the TJCA expires, the benefits will return to only serving single filers earning up to $75,000 or joint filers earning up to $110,000. Under Trump's tax plan, the child tax credit is currently $2,000 for each qualifying child. It rose during the pandemic to $3,600, but is set to fall back to $1,000 unless the TJCA is renewed. The House and Senate are both Republican controlled until at least the midterm elections in 2026, so it is likely that a favorable Trump policy will be passed through the chambers. So what do you guys think about the misinformation surrounding Donald Trump's new child support law?
Boom. Thoughts?
Yeah, man. It's funny as shit to bring all this up and cause all this uproar. And shout out to Eddie Griffin. He will be an ambassador to speak on this. I mean, this is actually a call back to some of the artists that we was just speaking on because of the whole interlude on the Chronic 2000, not the Chronic, Dr. Dre 2001 interlude that he had. I was just a dumb bitch trying to keep a nigga that I wanted. That shit was fucking hilarious, bro. That shit was fucking hilarious. But to quote the late great Pimp C, wicked women using children to live on. I mean, again, this is a great topic of discussion because again, you do have some cases where dudes is on some bullshit, planting seeds and not watering them, taking care of them. But you have some women that don't let a good man into their child's life and just want to collect that child support money and then even use it on their children. So, I mean, this can go a whole bunch of different ways, my brother. And
indeed. Being a victim of this particular situation, what I can tell you is it was always peculiar to me that the person paying or the obligor is not returned a tax credit. You know, and it's not about being rewarded for doing what is your natural obligation or responsibility to do as a parent or as the father of the offspring. But what is interesting is, and it's an additional taxation for whoever is adjudged to be the obligor.
Right.
And then these hearings are oftentimes decided or determined by an administrative hearing officer that may or may not have once held the office of a judge, but at that time of a decision definitely does not hold that position.
Mm-hmm.
and that's called quorum non judice. Don't quote me on that, but look into it. I believe that's quorum non judice, a decision made by a non-judicial official. And because it is administrative, it's an executive. It's under the executive part of the government as opposed to the judicial. So it's like a form of legislating, which is supposed to be barred by the Constitution. But that's just my take on it. I could be completely misguided. And hey, like, share, subscribe, comment, critique, criticize. Just be careful, because you know what I'm saying. We throw back. We throw back. But anyhow, by that I mean we throw hands back verbally.
Sometimes we clap back louder than a funk classic.
Indeed, I like that. Here's another video. This is on 13newsnow.com. But this is a story in the news. One of the news affiliates of is that 13 News? Can't tell if that's ABC. I think an ABC affiliate maybe. But yeah, check this out. We didn't create this video, but this is going to be them talking about this rumor that spread through that brother's viral video on TikTok.
Several viral TikTok videos with millions of views claim President Trump announced a new law that would change how child support recipients claim dependence on their taxes.
Trump passed a new law that whoever is paying the child support will get to declare those children on their taxes.
Many of these claims say Trump posted about the new law on social media.
Oh my God, Trump just tweeted, if you put your baby daddy on child support, that the baby daddy now gets all
This is hilarious to me, man.
Are those claims true?
He is not reading that from anywhere. He is coming right from the top of the dome. This is hilarious,
claim
man.
Tax benefits for a dependent child per year. Generally, the custodial parent, the parent with whom the child lived with the majority of the year, claims the dependent. If the child lived with each parent equally, the custodial parent is determined as the one with the higher adjusted gross income. President Trump hasn't changed any of that. We checked Trump's social media accounts and examined his policy platform known as Agenda 47 and found no mention of proposed changes to the federal child support tax law as the viral claims suggest. But even if he had, implementing those changes would not be as straightforward as announcing it on social media or even signing an executive order. Amending the tax code requires Congress to pass a bill modifying federal tax law. That hasn't happened, nor has it been proposed. With your Verify, I'm Ariande Till.
Thank you, sister, because yeah, I had to do my due diligence on that one. Because I got too excited and I started asking, people that I trust, that usually vet information even before I might get a chance to because of scheduling and just what they are into in life. But nobody could verify it. But everybody's response, male or female, was, I hope so. I hope so. I'm sick of these ignorant so-and-sos doing this to these. And I said, whoa, because whoever's the obligor, like some instances, it's the woman that's obligated to pay. And I just say, whoever's paying, that is like a triple tax on them. They should get something back, especially if it's a verifiable record. But what often happens is they automatically throw them into arrears. You demand for proof of a debt, they won't send you a proof of a debt. What they'll do instead is send you a bill. And that bill doesn't explain how it is that they've come to determine that you owe that amount of money. And then on the paperwork, it'll say unadjudicated, which means there's been no judgment rendered. So how could you owe something when there's been no judgment rendered and determination made? Who's making the determination? Y'all should look into that. This is a discussion that needs to continuously be had, and it is legislation that should be considered, but it would have to be stipulated, in a way that's fair to the child. I say, more so than the custodial versus non-custodial, because I mean that could be stipulated based on school district. I mean, if you live in a terrible school district and y'all decide no longer to reside together, why should the child suffer to have to live with one parent over the other, where the conditions are not necessarily conducive to their betterment?
Right.
You know what I mean? So those things have to be, worked out if there was to be such a legislation. But just so y'all know, it was all cap. It was all cap.
Comedy, man. Comedy.
I want to show y'all something Denzel was trying to tell us, y'all. Denzel was trying to tell us, I got to share this. Some of you all have already seen this over and over again. It's been shared throughout social media as well. But
there's been a lot of buzz about this fake news. You were the subject of a fake news story.
Oh yeah, what they say? I was running for president. No, I voted. No, what they say?
You switched your support.
I switched. Yeah.
What do you make of all the fake news and it affects
If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed.
So what do you do?
That's a great question. What is the long-term effect of too much information? One of the effects is the need to be first, not even to be true anymore.
There you go. That's the soundbite. I gotta play. I gotta run it back, and I see this in so many places, especially on social media, but even in friend groups. And that's not throwing any shade or any, no shade at anybody. It just I duly noted. I pay attention to that. That's just how rumors get started and words get changed up.
Effect of too much information. One of the effects is the need. You're misinformed.
You guys,
What do you make of all the fake news and it affects
If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed.
So what do you do?
That's a great question. What is the long-term effect of too much information? One of the effects is the need to be first, not even to be true anymore. So what a responsibility you all have to tell the truth, not just to be first, but to tell the truth. We live in a society now where it's just first. Who cares? Get it out there. We don't care who it hurts. We don't care who we destroy. We don't care if it's true. Just say it, sell it. Anything you practice, you'll get good at, including BS.
You told me last
Okay.
Wow.
Facts, man.
Listen to that truth fall like an anvil.
Major facts, bruh. Major facts.
If you watch the news, if you don't watch the news or read the news, you're uninformed. If you do read or watch the news, you're misinformed. There you have it. I mean, and then people, I get all my information from social media. What?
Then you're fucked.
Whoa.
Bro.
It takes me back. Hey, the episode around this time last year we did about social media being like a religion. Like the phones attached at the hand, head bowed, bow your heads.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
I totally forgot about that episode too, bro.
Yeah, man.
But it's the
I
truth.
hope people go back and watch it, not just for the sake of views for us, even though
but
we don't mind that.
It's being real shit, though.
We were trying to tell you, like, Trump was on to something. I'm not going to advocate for him. I'm just saying he's spoken some truths, no matter how funny. Like, there are going to be people dying that have never died before. Where's the cap?
Hey, but shit.
But
listen.
when you look at some of the conspiracies that's out here about Hollywood, that can take on a whole nother light too.
Bruh. Hey,
he didn't stutter.
Hey, to quote something in a Pac song, a coward dies 1,000 deaths. A soldier dies but once.
Just saying, y'all. I mean, I know some of you seen the inauguration. Some of you refused to watch. You sat with your box of tissues and bonbons and cried about it. But I'm just saying, it's gonna be an interesting ride. I'm not saying good or bad, better or worse. I know which one was better, which period of 4 years that I had to experience blue or red pill thinking. in the last 8-year cycle. So now entering this 12th year of that particular battled era. We'll see. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, I'm not gonna advocate for any of these people. It's time to show and prove.
Word.
And don't forget those of you who are virtue signaling and flat out accusing Elon. What party was he up until like literally a few months ago? What party did Trump start out as? Literally 20 years ago. I'm just saying. Some people have epiphanies and some people are fake and full of crap. And just because someone benefits from whatever their decision, whether it appears to be a flip-flop or not, doesn't mean it's not genuine.
All the same bird, you ask me.
It's purple. It's a purple bird. It's a purple bird.
Purple pills, man. Pull up, drink.
Facts.
Scissor. Allegedly.
Check the D12 album. No, but seriously, purple pills. Okay. But I'm just saying it's a purple bird. And just because someone changes affiliation openly doesn't mean that's really what took place. And in some instances, that's exactly what's taking place. And everything that led to that decision isn't always going to be disclosed right away. The viewpoint on the deep state. There's an agreement that there is a deep state, but who's under their thumb and who's running it and all of that. There's always a differing story, right? Depending on who you ask, if they even profess to have any knowledge of what that really is.
Word.
Just saying, like everything is not as it always appears. Smoke and mirrors, y'all. There's smoking guns. There's missing details. There's missing documents. This person took documents home first, so I'm allowed to take the documents home. And no, you weren't allowed to take those documents, especially if those documents can show proof that we stole an election. Oh my God, they're not going to view the evidence. Oh my God, he's crazy. He won't just abdicate. He won't just give up. He won't just say that he lost. Oh, he's a narcissist. Everyone has a diagnosis. It's just funny how all of this is played out. I'm just saying. And if you remove the emotion from yourself for the moment and just look at the pictures, read the lips and the captions, read the backstory, look at what's reported later that was going on while the backstory was being played in front of you, and just make your decision, y'all. I mean, listen, as long as you're thinking for yourself, because it'd be a darn shame to go down, in a sinking ship and realize that you weren't even thinking for yourself the whole time that you stayed aboard the ship.
Right.
Or if you dove into the water because you got afraid of your own thoughts, what you thought was your own thoughts, and only to find out they were planted by someone else. But we thank y'all for joining us. We thank you all who do support, who have subscribed. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please continue. Join our locals. Donate if you can. $1 here, $5 there, whatever you can afford or would like to contribute. I'm not going to beg, but we are trying to build our platform. We want to grow. We could use your constructive criticism, your contribution of differing opinion, or confirm. Hey, you guys sound great. You're right on point. Right in step with where I'm at. A lot of people I know are into this and thinking like this, and we appreciate what you're doing. Let us know, man. Or you guys,
indeed,
guys need better this, that. Say less of that. Hey, can y'all touch on this next time? Give us suggestions. I mean, we have plenty of ideas for content. We're very creative, and that's not braggadocious. That's just facts. So where we come from and who we affiliate with. Shout out to Schwaber Room once again. I mean, Beat Brown and Eddie Pendergrass, Eddie Old Painless, Old Man Ally, Sauce on Bread, aka Old Payments. And hey, Miss Kiki, shout out to you.
Word.
She know what this means. But yeah, man, shout out to everybody, man. Any thoughts, last thoughts, anything you want to plug, anything you working on coming up?
I mean, thoughts right now. Continue. Bless up, Big Wit. Get well soon, my brother.
Oh yes, Big Wit. Yes.
We got
Been praying
merch
for you, bro.
For sure. We got merch. tpublic.com/user/Handsome Mandela. We got merch. All platforms is on there, yo. We got that Deeper Dives Dialogue Unlimited stuff cracking. Go check us out. We got that fire for you, and we got more of it to come.
Shout out. Indeed. It's been another one, y'all, in the books and under the belt. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for your support. Those of y'all who are watching live, and please like and share it out. Subscribe to our locals. Once again, rumble.com. You can check us out. Deeper Dives Dialogue Unlimited. I think it's Jay.Drewz 47 or Jay.Drewz 47 on Rumble is another channel where you can catch our content. Peace, y'all.
Peace.